The JSE is flat this afternoon, as global stocks continue in the red, but the local currency is much stronger against the firm US dollar, with commodity prices also mixed. We can bring in now Viv Govender, portfolio manager at Randswiss, to talk to us about where we are in early trade now. Viv, good to see you as always. Let's talk first about the factors impacting the market movements that we're seeing globally and domestically today.
Yes, I think one of the big factors that people are waiting for is that speech by Jerome Powell at Jackson Hole. I believe that's tomorrow afternoon. Look, the US Fed has been quite aggressive trying to fight inflation. The last print they saw inflation come in a bit lower than the previous month, still pretty high, the mid-8s. And remember, the target is 2, so it's about 6% plus higher than that. Any kind of indication from Jerome Powell that the Fed is going to basically start, decreasing the rate of rate increases, and possibly even giving a timeline as to when he might want to, reverse these increases, would be very welcome to the market. And I think that's the main factor driving things right now. Of course, locally, there's factors such as the CPI number, which came out yesterday, the unemployment number that came out earlier this week, the general GDP, concerns, not just locally but globally as well. But I think right now the market's focused on that Jackson Hole speech.
And although Sibanye Stillwater's 12.3 billion rand profit for the period was 51% lower than the first half of 2021, the miner has now declared almost 4 billion rand in a dividend. Tell us about this performance more broadly.
Yeah, look, I mean, we have seen a bit of volatility in the commodity market. The fact that we are seeing profits being returned to shareholders indicates that they are also concerned about the possibility that, we aren't going to be seeing, demand increasing indefinitely to the future. There's no need to basically reinvest in more expenditure to the extent that, might be justified with a profit increase. We saw, for instance, South Africa come out, I think yesterday, and also talk about the fact that despite a big increase in profitability, they are seeing quite a negative turn going forward into the year, especially with the fear of a global recession occurring. I think right now these commodity producers are doing really well in terms of some of their pricing coming through. Yes, there has been some volatility, like you mentioned, but I do think that returning money to the shareholders is probably the best thing to do at the moment, just because you don't know what the future is going to be holding.
I want to stay in mining a bit longer because another miner, that's South 32, has paid out a massive dividend to shareholders despite profits after a tax increase by $2.9 billion to a new record of $2.7 billion. That's compared to a loss of 195 million back in 2021.
Yeah, look, I mean, again, the same kind of idea. We are seeing prices. Look, with the commodity producers, what you understand is this: that generally they are just totally, followers of the price. If the price is high of the commodity, they make a lot of profit. If the price is low, they don't. They don't have much control over pricing at all. And when it comes to basically productivity, etc., yeah, they can squeeze a little bit out, here or there, but they're not really, able to do much in terms of really changing the picture. Just by means of efficiency or productivity. It's mainly about the price of the commodity. An example I'd give you is Sasol. Sasol, a couple of years ago, the worst of the financial of the COVID lockdown, was under 32 rands a share. Now it's over 10 times higher. The reason for that is not because Sasol became suddenly much more efficient, it's because the oil price went from effectively negative for a couple of days at the worst of the COVID crisis to over $100 a barrel. And I think that is the thing we need to look at here as well. Profitability surging is because prices have been surging for these companies.
Talk about the barrel, something that's being sold by the barrel. Booze, the alcohol maker Distell, saying that its revenue for the year was 34 billion rand. That's up 21%. No surprises here if you live in South Africa. Savannah is still their best brand.
Yeah, and also I think they're facing some issues with regards to bottling as well. They say there's a bottle shortage that they're facing at the moment, so that might be a little short-term issue that they are looking at. The supply chain issues are affecting different sectors of the economy. You'd be surprised, what small component in certain, productivity, chains are affecting what. But like you mentioned, you're talking about 21% increase in revenue, 17.6% increase in volume. So obviously a little bit of price, but a lot more of it to do with actual increase in actual volumes, which is good for a business to see. And like you mentioned, people drink when they're sad and drink when they're happy. So being in the booze market is pretty good.
Well, after looking at some of those inflation numbers, you are tempted to have one more drink, Viv. We just can't afford it, I guess. Pharmaceuticals group Adcock Ingram counts Randswiss C among its products. It's in fact reported now headline earnings which rose 21%. That came up to 812 million rand to end June, and that was because of the return of demand for over-the-counter flu and cold medication.
Yeah, I mean, one of the weird things about COVID was the fact that, because everyone was away from everyone else, basically, because of the COVID situation, you also had this, side effect that, cold and flus weren't a problem. If you're trying to protect COVID, you were effectively protecting yourself against cold and flus, and you had quite an actual drop, actually, in the medical sector because of COVID. It was surprising. Like elective surgeries were not being done. At the hospitals, people weren't getting sick for other things because there was not as much contagion, because people weren't associating with each other. Now that we're getting back to normal, we're getting the same kind of normal flows coming back through the economy. And like you said, that's one of the reasons that we are seeing this kind of uptick in cold and flu medication.
Viv Govender, good to speak to you. Thank you.